Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Science Flipping Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Colby, and if you're watching this on YouTube, which you should, you will see I am with Will Denis, a.k.a. Willie Numbers. What's up, my friend?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Dude, I'm excited. This is going to be a good episode.
It is.
We have recently met. We're a part of the same mastermind. We met recently in Tampa. It's one of those things, when you meet the right people, you just immediately connect. And fast forward 7 days, we're doing podcasts together. We're going to hold a meetup tonight together, so it's going to be a really cool event. Now, a little background on him. He came into the business 6 years ago, and you've already had a $7 million gross revenue year in your first 6 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
How the hell do you do that?
A lot of hard work, a lot of breaking shit, a lot of scale, hiring very quickly, not taking any days off. Just really I call it Mr. Mo, like in the compound effect.
Okay.
Once you catch Mr. Mo, just momentum.
That's it.
For those of you watching,
Darren Hardy, I got it.
to fan that fire and keep it running, because something special happens when you catch some momentum. And I don't know why, but sometimes people want to slow down, or maybe it's a subconscious. They get a little scared.
Sure.
It's happened to me, but you just need to drive down all that. So every time I felt a little bit of momentum, I just throttled down, and I don't know, I looked up and it was 7.3 million later.
That's amazing. So if you had to do it all over again, would you have pushed that hard? Would you do it again?
I would have pushed a lot harder. I would have honestly, yeah. And I it turns out we had about 100 deals that were canceled that year.
Okay.
Apart from doing the 160 plus that we did, we left another 2 million revenue. So I was actually a little bit bummed out, because we should have been an 8-figure business.
So how long did it take you to get your first deal?
So first deal was 91 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what got you your first deal? What marketing strategy? What vertical? How did you get your first deal?
So my first deal was actually ass backwards. I started off with direct mail.
Okay.
Which not a good suggestion.
Okay.
I bankrolled everything on a Bank of America credit card that I had.
Which I actually do love.
Yeah. Yeah. That was 25 grand later.
Okay.
3 campaigns in. One seller, her last name was Fluker. I'll never forget it.
Of course.
Because she called in from a postcard, and her husband and her ended up selling 4 more deals. The first
to
one,
you?
Nice. To me. So it was 1, then it became 2, 3, 4, and then the 5th one. But my actual first deal was in a lawsuit for a year after that. So that was a lot of fun.
Not exciting. Been there.
Nope, not exciting.
Yeah. Well, so let's unwind this impressive run you've had. By the way, I give you a ton of kudos. 6 years to get to a $7 million run rate, and I've never even had a $7 million gross revenue year. So impressive.
Thank you.
If we were talking to a newbie right now, which many of my audience are newbies,
Yeah.
what advice would you give them if you were starting today in this economy to go get their first deal? What would be the first thing that you tell them?
Just pick up the phone and start dialing, honestly.
Okay.
That's something that I didn't do till later on, probably 8 months into the business.
Yep.
It just wasn't how I started.
Yeah.
Granted, the guy that helped me get into the business, he didn't teach me that way, because he never did cold calling.
Sure.
So I took his advice. His advice was direct mail.
Yeah.
I did it. I went balls to the wall.
It worked out pretty good.
It worked out pretty well.
Sure.
You know, it did put me in a tight ass financial strait, and as if my pants were already not soiled. I soiled them even more. But if anybody knows me, I like to do hard shit, so I guess it was my way to go.
Of course.
For sure. But yeah, I would say pick up the phone, start calling, and one thing I wish I would have done very early on is making good relationships. Maybe go work for somebody like me, shadow them for free. I would have washed cars. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't have mattered to me. But you always lead with value. That's the only reason why I got into that guy's office, is because I cold called him and I told him, I'll split my first 5 deals with you 50-50 if you teach me this business.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. So I intention.
But you got an actual coach. You had a mentor. You had an advisor, whatever you want to call him.
Yep.
You knew that if you were going to do this, you were going to win. You had to start with someone who's been there and done that before, correct?
Yeah, correct.
I think it's the biggest key that I obviously emphasize here at the Science Flipping is, if you want something you've never had, just go follow someone who has done it or has it.
Yep.
Right? And so you're here in Miami, and this is why we've become like best friends so quickly. We're both here in Miami, and he's in South Florida, and he's done very, very well here. But you still run a virtual business, even though you're in your own backyard, correct?
Correct, yeah.
I think that's the key is you don't have to go shake hands and kiss babies to be able to get these deals done. I think a lot of people think, oh, virtual business, that means I have to go do deals in Arkansas. It doesn't.
No.
It just means you run the right systems.
Yeah. So to be clear, my business was started off in 2017. We did not go fully virtual until we were forced to by COVID.
Sure.
So COVID was actually the biggest blessing, not only for appreciation, as we all know now, and growth and all that, but it really forced us to, oh shit, we can't go see houses anymore. People don't want us in our house. Inspectors can't go out. Buyers can't go out. No one wants to see each other. There's masks everywhere. Yeah. No one's really selling right now. So it gave us like a 3-month period where we were like reevaluating our lives, our business, everything. Yeah. We had about 200 grand worth of runway at that time, which was not a lot.
No.
And
now you're clipping off 25, 30 grand a month in direct mail or whatever marketing vertical.
Yeah. And we were already doing some cold calling, but yeah, we got forced into it. We started buying houses over the phone. Jerry Green, actually, shout out to Jerry. He was the one that really told me, he's like, dude, you guys don't need to go see houses. And I remember telling him very stupidly, with such conviction, I was like, Jerry, you don't understand. This is South Florida. You need to go see these houses. Yeah. He's like, I don't think you understand. I'm 20 years in the business. You don't. And I argued with him for a little bit, so be coachable, first of all.
That's right.
But I later just took his advice begrudgingly, and it changed my entire business.
Good.
Yeah.
I think, listen, most people want to try to figure out what's today, what does the business look like today? The reality is if you got started today, by next year, you'll likely be doing different things and different strategies. Not to say the initial strategy didn't work, but market shifts. Yes. Things change. COVID is a pretty drastic example of that, right? Yes. That has never been seen before in the United States.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's drastic. But, whether it's interest rates, whether it's the volume of listings that are on the market versus off market, there's things that you're going to constantly have to be able to pivot. And a lot of the reason why I've had the longevity I've had is I've been adaptable to that. So you've obviously seen COVID made some adaptations is the word I was looking for there.
There you go.
If you are looking to move forward to the next 12 months, not to say what's your goal, but what are you shooting for? What, changes are you going to be making within your own business?
Yeah, so I just rebuilt out my entire acquisition side of the business. Okay. So I had a funny trajectory. So after I'll backtrack here for a second and I'll tie this all in. But after we scaled up to 7.3, the next year was 2022, which we all know what happened in 2022. The first quarter of 2022 was cool. Then all of a sudden shit started to change. Yeah. And interest rates started going up. Yeah. The market started to shift. Things kind of cooled off a little bit. I think everybody it was like one big ass 1.5-year party that everybody woke up and said, oh shit, I'm a little hungover. I don't know what happened, right? Yeah. And that pretend kind of went away and it became real again. And, we started having some internal partner turmoil. We ended one partnership. I ended another partnership. So I ended up buying out my partners. In this, let's call it a hiatus period, I was still doing deals on my own. Yeah. But I was thinking like, all right, do I rebuild this? Do I not? What am I going to do with it? Do I even want to do this again? This is a lot of brain damage. But I always felt like I brought a lot to the table, but I had learned, I felt like it was almost like a preseason, And we had done so well, and a lot of people would, they look at me and they're like, dude, but you crushed it. And I'm like, yeah, but it could have been so much better.
Sure.
There was a lot of efficiencies. So I think reflection is really important and looking back. And
the only way to be able to do that is by looking backwards.
Yeah, and looking backwards on it, I was like, all right, well, we did this. Well, we could have done that. Well, I didn't need all this fat over here. We could have trimmed a lot of fat. We could have done this. We could have done that. We could have been a lot more lean. Yeah. We had an overhead of like 110 to 120 a month.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a moving train to stop when a market shifts.
That's right.
So now I've rebuilt an acquisition team that's super lean and mean.
Yep.
Very proud of it. There's really like 7 team members as opposed to 27.
That's right.
On the 7 million year. I'm on track to net more this year than I was the year that we did 7.3.
It happens all the time. Yeah. Is people want to look at Willie or myself and look at a big business or revenue or deals. But the reality is, one of my first mentors ever told me, stay small, keep it all. And I didn't listen to him because, I knew better. And I built a big operation, had 20 cold callers in the office. We had a team of 32 or something like that. Made multi-millions. I paid myself that year 90 grand.
Yeah.
So how are you going to make almost $3 million and pay yourself 90 grand?
Yep.
And what people don't recognize is getting bigger and touting how many deals and how much revenue and how much money you make. That's not the game. The game is getting rich. That's the game.
Yep.
And so for the newbies out there, maybe aspiring to be Willie or myself or whatever the case may be careful of what you wish for, because I actually am an advocate of trying to help people stay small. Like, I have 7 team members right now, maybe 8 because we just hired one. But the reason why I'm even hiring is because I need more people helping on my rental stuff than I do on my wholesale and my fix and flip. And so I just need people that can, you know, wrangle in all, like, we just hired someone specifically to deal with all our property managers and realtors for all our flips and all our rentals. Her only job all day long is to deal with our property management groups and realtors.
It's a different season.
It's just a different season. Now, before that used to be a salesperson.
Yeah.
Right? Sales team, sales business, sales. Still the case, but being more efficient is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Like
being bigger.
Correct. And look, everyone always talks about scaling up. Nobody really talks about scaling down or scaling up efficiently, right? The way that I did it, I'm not regretting any bit of it, and I don't want anybody to feel sorry for me. We made $7.3 million. That was my first almost $1 million year personally.
Right.
My life changed forever. You know, bought a bunch of stupid shit, which probably didn't help, right? Went out to steak dinners 4 or 5 times a week. I mean, it was a whole new life for me 4 years deep into the business. But, you know, this time around, it's different. Like, for example, I just brought on a sales director for acquisitions to handle the acquisitions. He's far better than me at closing. I don't consider myself like a salesman. It's not one of my natural attributes. I'm definitely a visionary, and I'm more like a Belichick than I am a Tom Brady.
Nice.
I figured that out the hard way, right? So I can put the right pieces to the puzzle, and I'm not afraid to pedal down.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the way that I'm scaling this time. When I did it, I was moving in real time, right? So you make the best decisions that you can, but I scaled a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
And scaling chaos is no fun. It's a lot of brain damage, and it's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of noise, a lot of busy work, but not a lot of productivity. And look, we still did 7.3, so imagine.
Yeah, I think now you're able to look at hindsight and do it a better way.
Yes.
But that is what is called adapting, right? And trying to figure out the pivots you need to make, right? For those that are going to, let's say, try to do this themselves.
Yeah.
How long should they be thinking about doing it themselves versus hiring? Because I know there's an argument out there that you don't really own a business if you can't leave your business and make more money than when you came in. I get it.
Sure.
But you go ask Elon Musk if he's still in his business, and his answer is going to be, fuck yes, I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Different level.
Yeah. But he's still in.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
He may not be washing the toilets anymore, right? But he's still very much in that business. And so I think those out there that are making the argument, like, scale your business, remove yourself. No. Your roles just change. You're still going to work your face off.
Yeah. Because now you're a babysitter.
Yeah. Now you're a leader, right? Now you're leading humans versus making the negotiations, selling the property, etc. But how long would you advise someone to try to run their own business by themselves before you start to hire?
That's a tough question to answer, but this is the best way I could answer it. So it depends on what that person wants and what that person wants it to look like. So start with clarity. I did not start with clarity.
Okay.
I just started with,
I want money.
A bunch of money.
Yeah.
And, you know, which is great and it's awesome. And we did. But we also broke a lot of shit along the way.
Yeah.
If I would have had clarity and I would have had some sort of a plan, and don't mistake what I'm saying. I'm not saying get your ducks in a row, but I'm just saying if I would have had just a little bit of clarity and maybe just stopped for a day, just thought about it and wrote it down and said, what do I want this to look like in 6 months? What do I want it to look like in 12 months? I would have made decisions differently, because when you expand out your decision timeline, your time horizon, you make better decisions the longer the time horizon is. When you look at something, we were talking off camera about you talking about rentals, right? And you're like, look, I don't have a set date. I want to be a billionaire through real estate, but I don't have a set date. So your time horizon is really easy for you to be like, oh, okay, well, I could do this, and that. If you put 5 years on it, you're going to be like, holy shit, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to look like an Everest day one.
Yep.
And it's really difficult to do. So I would say, man, if you're just starting out and, you know, you're a one-man, two-man band, whatever, a woman, probably 6 months, get some deals under your belt, make sure that you do it. Make sure that you learn it. Document as you go through.
Yeah.
Don't try to go through and then document in reverse.
Right.
It's a huge pain in the ass, guys. I've done it. I actually hired a consultant, paid him 30 grand to do it with me because it was so much work.
Yeah.
Right. But I would say probably 6 months. Get 50 grand in the bank, if you will. Hire an executive admin VA.
Yep.
Take away all the non-RGAs or non-revenue generating activities off your plate. And that should be your first hire, and then go from there.
The only difference I would say, because I agree with everything you said, I want people to make real money first. Because there's no point in me making $3 million of revenue and paying myself 90 grand. There's no point in you doing, 10% income of what your revenue is. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So the only thing I would pivot to is I like to try to help people understand, go make $250,000 in your own pocket, then hire someone. Because now you have the certainty and you have the confidence of, oh, this actually works.
Yep.
I could actually make a lot more money. Let me go hire someone. And I agree with you. Go hire an assistant. It doesn't have to be an executive. Like, the title is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Hire someone to do the operational work that you can't do, you shouldn't be doing, etc. But I don't actually believe in telling people to hire. Not until they're actually making money. So whether it's 50 grand in the bank, or for me, it's $250,000 for someone to be making, like, then go for it, right?
Yeah.
But you are dead on. Decide what you want. Like, decide what your vision is. Have you read the book Traction?
Of course.
So I would argue everyone should be kind of reading that so you don't make the mistake you're talking about, which is not really having a vision of what you're trying to do. Put your year-long vision out there, not goal, but vision, and then step backwards every quarter. And then from your quarterly rocks, then you go down and do it every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, then you'll at least not break as much shit on the way up, because there's a place you're trying to head, and then you step it by month and quarter.
Correct. Correct. And I'll just add to that. One thing I'll say is the way that I did it, and I can only speak to how I did it and my mistakes, but the way that I did it, I sought out someone from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I was very intentional with that because I had heard a podcast with Sean Terry,
Yeah.
and he was talking about how you could shortcut your way into the business and also buy someone else's mistakes.
Yep.
I was very enamored with that terminology because I was like, wow, that's like a cheat code in a video game, right?
Totally.
Why not? So that's exactly what I did. So to anybody watching, you should approach somebody like Justin or like myself, right? Add tremendous amount of value, and then that's where you start, because I'm going to be able, look, like my coaching students now, dude, they're going to go so much further than me. That's the goal, because they come with me and I'm like, nope, don't go left. You need to go right here.
Right.
Because I've already hit that wall on the left. I already know what's there.
Yeah.
I don't need to tell you. Don't need to tell me what's around the, well, what if I hit the corner at 20 miles an hour? I know that there's a truck on the other side. You're going to get smashed.
Yeah.
Just go right. And that in business can be worth light years in terms of time, brain damage, effort, and not just money. Everyone's always focused on the money that you make, but think about the lost revenue that you're not making because you don't know what you don't know. So that would be the first thing. If you're brand new, you don't know what you're doing because you're brand new.
Totally.
To anything, to seek somebody like that.
Yeah, you're going to lose more money trying. You're going to lose more money and time trying things, throwing them against the wall, not sticking with them, and getting frustrated, never actually breaking into the space because you didn't have someone to coach you, give you the processes, systems, tools, etc. And so listen, are you going to stick to the active income business of wholesaling and flipping? Or are you going to break into the rental space in a bigger way? What is your vision, and what do you see your real estate investing future looking like?
Yeah, so look, I've already made a tremendous amount of active income. I've been taxed up the ass, right? I also bought one thing that we haven't spoken about. I grew a rental portfolio to about 28 doors. My first 3 years in the business, ass backwards, owner financing, figuring it out along the way. It worked out because I timed it perfectly, because I bought them in 2017, 18, 19, and we know that the market exploded in 2020. At the height of that, I got rid of most of them because my flip business and my wholesale business was scaling so fast that it was the right thing to do with my liquidity. In hindsight, probably would have kept them all.
Sure.
But that's neither here nor there. So yes, I've already been in the rental game. I have some rentals right now, not anywhere near the 28. It offsets my income, but yes, I'm looking at, I buy them creatively a lot of the times.
Yeah.
So sub twos and stuff like that. I enjoy that process, and obviously it's less cash intensive. But yeah, so I'm taking a lot of my active income. But what I'm mostly doing with my active income right now is I live way more frugal than I ever did before. Again, kids, you young Thundercats out there, I bought all the Rolexes. I've had the supercars. I've lived in the fucking penthouse. It's awesome. It's great. Wish I could take all the money back and reinvest it into my business. So I reinvested back into marketing. I reinvested back into people, and most importantly, Willie Numbers, which is, you know, the
brand,
the education company, and growing out the Latino education. That's really what I'm more looking forward to anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like a guy at the roulette table that has a big win, takes his chips, and goes all in. But the difference is that I'm not gambling here. I'm just betting on myself, and I'm betting on everything that I'm building. And anything I can say, man, if I said nothing else on this podcast, just keep betting on yourself. Keep betting on yourself. It is the best investment by far, education-wise, personal-wise, business-wise. It doesn't matter. That's where I pour all my time, effort, and money into. So it's just, as soon as I make the money, I almost get it out of my hands very quickly, because I know that if it's in my hands, stupid shit starts to happen.
Well, and, you know, Grant says this all the time, and I tend to believe him, but basically empty your bank account every month.
Yeah.
That way you're starting from zero and you're going broke, and you got to go hustle and keep pushing, right? And so I love the methodology. I don't know if I go broke every month, but I love the point he's trying to make is continue to make yourself push. And you know, I just did a podcast for your episode. And by the way, if you're listening to this or watching this, make sure you go check out Willie's podcast. He's on iTunes and Spotify and on YouTube. So make sure you go follow him on social media, all the places. But you know, we talked about this idea of like, there is no goalpost. No. Right? Like every time I get close to a goal post, I kick it another 10 yards further. And it's because I didn't come this far to come this far.
Yeah.
Right? Like I didn't want to just go make some millions of dollars and then that's cool.
Agreed.
Like now there's always a bigger vision. I think the difference between my level of experience and wisdom, which is another word for I'm old, is I'm a lot more patient. So I call it aggressive patience.
Yes.
So I'm aggressive in the actions I take and unwavering in them, but I'm patient on the result it's going to take to get it. Right?
I love that.
And so my aggressive patience has me on a run right now where I'm going to be just buying as much as I can with patience on the ultimate end result, which I call bankability. The reason why I'm asking you what's kind of in your future is because if I can impress something on someone like yourself that is very successful at making money, is to have aggressive patience in accumulating wealth for one reason: bankability.
Yeah.
You want the banks to look at you and just give you $1 million just because.
Yep.
Because they see your entire portfolio of assets. They see your equity portion of those assets. Like, dude, you want $1 million? Like, that's where you want to be, right?
Feeling.
And you want to be able to have banks. Like, people are always worried about money in our space. When a deal comes up, like a real deal, do you ever have problems raising money?
No.
Never.
No.
Right?
Actually, funny enough, and I know you feel the same exact way and you go through the same shit. I have a problem placing money because I have too much access to capital.
Yeah.
I have the complete opposite problem. So, and you know, somebody watching this, oh yeah, well, it's easy to say, you've made all this money. Dude, I figured that out second year in the business because I started asking for money and my relationship with money completely changed. We've been predetermined, pre-configured, whatever the hell you want to call it, conditioned to think that money is this thing that only certain people have and you can't access it because you're broke. No,
Right.
If you have value, you lead into the marketplace and you create value because value is created. It's not transferred. You can obtain money. And people are out there that would give you a lot. Shit, I'll give you money.
Yeah.
The deal makes sense. It just makes sense. I might give you my time too.
There's a lot of dry powder out there. And what I mean by that, for if no one's heard that saying, I mean, there's literally billions of cash in IRAs, self-directed IRAs, 401ks, trillions. And people don't even know what to do with that.
No.
So if you guys are newbies and you're out there talking about real estate opportunities and I have this opportunity, I guarantee you, if you are just talking about these things, again, not to get all woo-woo California West Coast on you, but the energy will start to come around and people will start to inquire, what opportunities are you finding? Where are you finding them? I want to be in real estate. How do you do real? And they may have $100 grand sitting in their retirement account because they've worked at wherever, IBM for a decade, right? And so those limiting thoughts and beliefs you muscled your way through it from everything I know, right? You just said, I'm just going to win no matter what. I'm going to grind. Same thing I did. I was like, I don't fucking know. I'm just going to go make a lot of money. Like, I'm just going to go make it happen.
Yeah.
But the reality is you can be more strategic than that, right?
Yeah.
And part of it is understanding what is true and what isn't and creating the certainty around it. So you talked about Big Mo, right? Momentum.
Oh, yeah.
The best time to get your second deal is after your first because you have momentum.
Rip it.
But the limiting belief, what do you think the biggest limiting belief in our space of investing would be? Or let's even say, what do you think the biggest myth in our space is?
Well, I mean, the biggest myth is that you need money to do it. You need experience. You need credit. You need all these things. I would say that's the biggest limiting belief. Apart from that, man, it's just people think that, I just hit my first deal, but it's only one.
Yep.
Well, dude, just rinse and repeat. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I kind of do because I've read enough literature on this now, but the human psyche is fucked.
Yeah.
We're all fucked regardless. And I can't tell you, dude, even at my level or your level, I'll speak for myself, but even there's some moments, the very little flaring moments, but there's some moments where I'm like, you can't do that. There's literally a voice in my head that it's like a stock ticker.
Yep.
And it goes, and the thought comes through it. It's like, you can't do that.
Yep.
Why you? And I'm like, fuck you. And because why not me? And I just push through it. So that's the biggest limiting belief, that you can't do it, or you need money, or you need something to do this business.
Or there's no deals. I think the biggest thing right now is there's no deals.
Yeah.
Can't find deals.
Yeah, it's saturation.
What are you on pace to do this year? How many deals?
It's a much smaller team, but at least 70. At least.
But there's no deals, dude.
Yeah, there's no
and South Florida is terribly hard. It's almost impossible.
Dude, I can tell you right now, and again, this is not to brag. Anyone who follows me knows that I post HUDs, I post wires, and I post real addresses.
Yeah.
In South Florida, I don't do deals outside of here. So if you've been following me since January of this year, I've hit 4 6-figure deals alone.
Yeah.
Out of all those deals that we just mentioned.
Yeah.
My average deal size in South Florida is about 39.
You guys can do the math, right? So 40 times 50, 2 mil.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not hard to do that math, right?
Yeah.
And so I would tell everyone out there, stop the nonsense you tell yourself, because you're going to believe it, right? Your body will psychologically believe it, and then you're going to make it come true because you're saying there's no deals in the market. I'm going to argue Miami and South Florida as a whole is one of, if not the toughest market in the nation. Phoenix, Miami,
LA.
Bigger cities, LA, right?
Sure.
San Francisco. These are really tough markets, and you're going to do 70 this year with a tailored down team and just more efficiencies.
Dude, a lot more efficiencies. And the crazy thing is that the bulk of those deals were deal partners and JVs.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about JVs where I'm making $2,500, okay? Like on a goal.
Splitting it, if anything.
I'm talking about big rips, and I go to work and I make the people who bring me deals more money.
That's right.
So listen, this is a golden rule of investment. Number 1, never lose money. Number 2, never forget rule number 1. If you, and I heard that from a big Wall Street guy when I was in New York, but if you make the people who come around you money, and lots of it, you will never have any fucking problem in your life. And I think that, I know I was guilty of this early on in my career because of the scarcity mentality and all that. It's like, oh, well, why I need to make money? Why am I making them all this money? Dude, I paid my fucking dues.
Yeah.
In terms of education, partnerships, deal splits, equity, and coaching and mentorships, north of $1 million in my career already that I've spent.
Yep.
But I've invested that. I don't look at it as, oh, I lost $1 million in education. No, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
No, it's an investment for sure.
But so many people are so scared to get out there and partner with somebody who has a lot more experience than you, probably can do it better, and it'll get you there faster.
No doubt.
It should be the opposite. You should be looking to make people a lot of money. Because guess what? If I make you a lot of money, are you going to answer the phone after? Next time I call you?
Every single time.
Every single time. So the guys that come to me and the girls that come to me and I make money with them, like real money, dude, when they call, I'm like, hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
That's the whole part of my community at Science of Flipping, right? I do a lot of deals. I buy a lot of deals from my community members because the more they do, the more we all win, right? And the loyalty that I have within my group is like second to none, right? I mean, I just create that because I help them make money. With that said, it's always about offering value.
Yeah.
And your income is directly related to the value that you bring to the table. So if you're not in a place financially where you want to be, call it 50 grand, 60 grand, 80 grand a year, then likely you're in a job that you don't bring that much value to that organization.
Correct.
With that said, you offer a lot of value. In fact, I'm very happy to hear that you're going to try to make a larger impact here on the Latin Hispanic community here in South Florida.
Yeah.
And make a big impact. So what I'd like to do now, as we wrap up, is to have everyone get directed over to where you want to push them, whether it's your Instagram, your YouTube, your podcast. Where can everyone find you?
I mean, we're on every single social media platform. So Instagram is my biggest platform right now. We're also on TikTok and all that stuff. But Instagram, Willie Numbers, or at Willie Numbers, Willie with a Y, numbers is spelled out. All the stuff that I offer, my link tree, I mean, you could book a discovery call with me. Our site is willienumbers.com. We offer coaching one-on-one or one-to-many. And I actually offer the first free course in full English and full Spanish on how to get your first deal. I was going to charge for that at one point, and I just decided to give it away for free.
Yeah.
So it's professionally like edited and everything. If you can't get your first deal from that, because it's exactly how I did it and in detail in English and Spanish, then you should just go find something else to do. But that's exactly where you can find everything. I post a lot of stuff. We have a lot of content going out. My goal, bro, is just to empower specifically the Latino community and just to see, like, dude, if a broke kid from Miami can get out and become a millionaire and make millions of dollars in real estate, then you can too, you know. And that's my whole mission right now for the moment. And I want to empower people, especially in this city where so many people are afraid to give all this value. And dude, there's people that reach out to me all the time that they're like, bro, you can't be saying all this because bro, like, you're giving away all the sauce. And I'm like, dude, statistically speaking, 98% of people are not going to do shit with it. Okay. The 2%, I hope to meet them. I want to do business.
That's it.
That's it. So stop viewing life like you're losing something or someone's taking something away from you.
I agree.
Because it's not. And the universe isn't attracting more abundance to you by doing that.
Love it. Well, bro, I appreciate coming on this episode. If you are in South Florida, this is your guy for sure. I live here, but he's my guy here in South Florida. So you'll see us a lot more coming to you soon. Again, like this episode, subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, smash the like button. Make sure you subscribe and share this. Follow Willie Numbers at Willie Numbers, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace, guys.